We're here with Charles Looper, and you are with the Pesticide Safety Education Program. And Charles, we want to start our spring off right and talk about some safety things about pesticides and insecticides. So what's one of the first things that we need to know regarding how to handle our products?
Well, one of the first things when we're mixing, I would suggest is segregate if you have the ability to buy two different sprayers. Having a sprayer dedicated just for herbicides, weed killers, that kind of thing. So when you go to spray weeds in your tomatoes or something, you won't have carryover when you go to spray for insects. You don't want to have that product carry over and cause issues. So if we designate that, can help out if we dedicate those, if that's available. If not, you can always really rinse these out, clean these out if you need to use one sprayer for the other. But that simplifies that going on.
Because herbicides, you could accidentally kill your tomatoes.
Right, if you use the wrong herbicide behind your insecticide, there could be enough carryover to carry, to kill that tomato if we use the wrong herbicide going on there.
So going into our garage, how do we need to handle this material and keep it from causing any damage with other products?
When we come with storage, whether we're talking about our garage, a garden shed, or something like that, pesticides need to be stored in their original containers.
Okay.
Because they're going to have a label on there to tell us what they are. We won't get them confused. We don't want to ever store them anything other than original container going on. Try to keep them away from materials such like bird seed, fertilizer, dog food, any kind of thing. If you do have a spill, you don't want those products absorbing that when they spill. And we're not wanting a spill, but that's something to avoid storing those near there.
And you have this in a tub. That's not just for display,
Oh,
right?
yeah, real simple way. You can buy very expensive cabinets and stuff, but this is always something I say. These nice little plastic containers you find at a lot of stores are a containment system. So if I store these on the shelf in my garage, if there is a leak, we're going to catch anything into this pan instead of all over our floor, our shelves, into anything else. And if you have individual products, you could even still use that. And when you go to clean it up, it would be a lot easier to clean up,
right.
Avoid exposure, those kind of things.
And that's kind of a handy thing to use even in your home with cleaning supplies under your kitchen sink and that sort of stuff.
Depending on how long, if something leaks, it's better to go into something like that than say all over that wood or something there.
Right.
This is a repurposed kitty litter box. That's typical plastic container. Even these, when they're full, if you don't spray them out, we want to try to spray them out at the end of the day, but that'd be another thing you can hold those on to going on there with those.
So one thing we always get asked, I know you get asked a lot, is about the degradation of the pesticide with the temperatures. I mean, if we're coming out of winter, are our pesticides still good? And also, will they be good going into the heat of the summer?
Yeah, all pesticides are going to have a little bit unique chemistry and things, and that's very hard thing to put an actual date or number on. Mm-hmm. What we go with storage, climate, garage or something that doesn't get too cold is probably better. I like to store my stuff out in the garden shed away from the garage, so it's just away from children. Again, the more we can keep these things away, usually you're going to have enough heat maybe from there. Cold is usually probably worse on these products than heat.
Okay.
They're probably still going to work just fine. The mixing things, if they freeze, sometimes they'll separate out and not be usable if they get too cold, if they freeze.
Because you just can't get that solution back.
It just totally separates out and they're unusable that way.
Okay, all right.
And then we have problems. What do we do with it then?
Okay, so ideally the best situation would be to only buy the size of a container that you think you'll use throughout the season?
Definitely. I know a lot of people like to go best bang for their buck, cheaper per quantity, but when we talk about pesticides, really we want to buy the quantities we'll use up and not have a whole lot left around or get left with lots of carryover, because then it becomes an issue later on down. What do I do with it later on?
Right. Well, that leads me to my next question. So once we've used a container, what do we need to do with it to dispose of it properly?
Okay, so once we empty, let's say this one's empty here, what our standard practice is, where we're talking about homeowners or all the way up to large pesticide sprayers, is we want to get this as empty as possible. And then we could take and triple rinse this.
Okay.
So which means we'll fill it up once. We want to spray that out, fill it up twice, spray it again.
And you would just spray it out where you've applied it before?
Right, we want to spray on a labeled site, so where we've been spraying,
okay.
And we're going to use that spray water. And so after 3 times, that is considered to clean that out and become like normal trash.
So Charles, after we've triple rinsed the container, is there anything else we need to do?
We can go ahead and puncture a hole in the bottom so they cannot be reused. Pesticide containers should not ever be reused for any other purpose.
Okay.
So this would either go into your normal household trash stream. They are recyclable containers. So if it's up to the recycler to whether they take that out, but they are eligible for recycling also. To go to that, once we empty them up, best option to go for there.
They, of course, would need to check with their local recycling center to make sure that the center accepts that.
The center would have, they have a right of refusal, so they could not accept those, but they could be eligible for recycling like any other household products.
Well, thank you, Charles, for getting us off to a great start this spring.
Okay.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.